الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده ولا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim is a verse that's recited on average about 40 times a day by the Pakistani Muslim. It's a verse that was recited just now in the Isha Jamaat. It's a common verse, but how many people knows what does that verse mean in English? Can anyone here please just raise the hand and offer a suggestion? What does this verse mean? Yes, brother. Show us the right path. Thank you, brother. Yes, show us the straight path. That's one translation in English. Show us the straight path. Now, in the English sentence, show us the straight path, there are three key components. Show, straight, path. But really, we should reflect on what is this path? What's the path it's referring to? Well, first of all, ask yourself, what's a path? Just think. A path is something that gets you from A to B. It's something that lets you move forward. It's something that lets you advance to progress safely. That's a path. On the left of the path or the right is a verge or something dangerous. It's not a path. That's what a path is. Another word for path is a way forward, a way to move, a way to stop being static, a way to stop remaining where you are and to move forward in life. That's what a path is. It's a way forward. Now, we're in Oldham right now. If I say to you, there's two ways of getting to Manchester. One is a straight path. Another way is slightly longer. You have to bend here and there, and it takes you a bit longer. Now, only a fool would take the long route for no reason. You would take the straight path. It's the easiest path to get to Manchester. It's the quickest way of getting to Manchester. It's a straight path. That's just common sense. But there's more to this verse than just a path, because we have to ask ourselves, where is this path taking us to? Why do we recite it so many times a day? Now, I said there was 40 times. I actually added up the other day how many times. If you just count the sunnat and the farad namaz, okay, the nawafil I can understand, not everyone reads. There's about 40 times, or 42 actually. But how many of us mean it? That sentence where we say it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we stood there in front of our Lord, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, show us a straight path, show us a straight path, show us a straight path. How many of us actually mean it? It's something to contemplate about. Now, I will be going into this verse a bit more to what this path is, why we follow it, how to follow the path. But the fact that you brothers are here and sisters are listening and those watching online, you should already know what is the path that I'm referring to. What is the way that I'm referring to? Can anyone please just suggest what's the name of this way? What's the name of the tariqah? Tariqah Muhammadiyah. It's the same way that all the great awliya followed, the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prophetic way, the best way, the only way, really, if you think about it. Because anything outside his way is not really a way. All the great prophets, all the awliya, from Imam Ghazali rahimahullah to Sheikh Abdul Aziz Dabakh rahimahullah, from the Tabi'in to Sahaba, they all followed the Sunnah. They all followed the Muhammadiyya way. Why? Clearly there's some wisdom behind it. There has to be. Statistically, if so many thousands and millions of people throughout history followed this way, there's got to be a reason why. And we'll find out eventually why. Now, in order to understand more about this way, I'm going to just use an analogy. I'm going to use stars. I'm going to use stars to explain how to follow them and why. You see, traditionally the ancients and even modern navigators such as airplane pilots and the captains of a ferry, they use the stars every now and then to navigate their way. Because yes, they have GPS and all that technology, but when technology goes down, they have to refer to the stars. particularly the North Star. See, the stars will never go away. All they have to do, really, is something, unfortunately, our generation doesn't do anymore. There are people in this country who haven't looked up to the heavens for decades. Some people don't even know the stars are there. Really. In this country, I can understand we have an overcast weather, we have clouds. Combined with light pollution, it's more difficult to see the stars. But back home, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or even here in the countryside, when you go up and look at the stars, you see perfection. You see order. You see something only a creator can make. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say there are people that don't even know the stars exist. I have students in school, they've never seen the stars because they live in Rochdale, they never left, and they don't ever look up. To them, it's something out of a sci-fi movie, the stars. So a star is really, it's a guide. It leads people to safety. It shows them the way home. It shows them the way to safety. That's what a star is. Now, we know there's a North Star, and we also know there's the Southern Star. Now, in Arabic, it's called Sahel. In English, it's called Canopus. This is the same star that's actually astronomically aligned with the Kaaba. The same star. So these are two critical stars, the North Star and the Southern Star. Now, this star, Sahel, is what NASA used to guide astronauts into the heavens, into space. They don't use the North Star, they use Sahel. That's something we're thinking about. Everyone talks about the North Star. Yes, the North Star obviously is important, but what about Sahel? The reason why I like to use stars is because you have to ask yourself, who is the star of all of creation? Who is the star of existence? Who's the qutb of creation? Who is the star at which around everything else revolves? The star was personified in the form of one person. And you all know his name. It's none other than the one and only, our beloved Master, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's the qutb of creation. He was the star of Quraysh. He was known as Al-Amin. He was Al-Najm. He was Sadiq Al-Amin. He is the same Hashemite that was mentioned in the Injil. He's the same Hashemite that was mentioned in the Torah, in the book of the Christians, the book of the Jews, the book of the Persians, the book of the Hindus, the book of the Buddhists in China. Buddha himself says in that holy book, he says, how can I worship the one made of pure gold? How can I worship the one made of pure gold? He goes on to say that, how can I praise the one that even the Creator praises? This is written in their belief, this is in their book. Now, Thomas Clary, he did a very famous analogy of this saying in their holy book, and he said, he came to the conclusion that the person that's being mentioned here in this book, the person that's being mentioned, it's actually in the book called the Dhammapada, that's their holy book. He said, this person, he is the final and the last prophet of God, and his name will mean the praiseworthy one. This is their belief, this is their religion. Even they believe in the message that we believe in. Now, of course, they are astray for various reasons. However, I'm trying to prove to you that the same star that we follow, they are mentioned throughout the centuries, throughout their holy books, throughout the world. So just as a navigator uses the North Star for guidance, we should be using the star of the creation for our spiritual guidance, for our guidance in life, and it's the best guidance you're ever going to get. If you want guidance for how to run a successful business, follow his example, follow the Sunnah. If you want guidance on how to improve family relations, follow his teachings, follow his way, follow his Sunnah. If you want to improve your health or your personal situation, no matter what your calamities are, no matter what your problems are, look at the Sunnah, look at the Sirah, look at his way. His way is the best way, and that is a fact. That is a fact. His way is the best way, and I can testify to that. You can hold me to account, you can write that down. That is a fact. The Muhammadiyya way is the best way, full stop. I mean, it's easy for me to say as a Muslim, even the non-Muslim can testify to this. I'll give you a prime example. Mark Zuckerberg, now everyone here is on Facebook, I would imagine, well, most of us anyway. Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO, he's the founder of Facebook. Now, I was reading up about him because he's a quite interesting character. Does anyone know which famous Muslim scholar or author he actually follows? He doesn't worship her, but he follows his teachings. Has anyone heard of Ibn Khaldun? Ibn Khaldun. Now, I don't have time really, unfortunately, to go into who this person was, but he was a great scholar, he was a great historian. Mark Zuckerberg follows Ibn Khaldun. He follows his teachings. Who does Ibn Khaldun follow? You know the answer. So Mark Zuckerberg, without knowing it, or not, I don't know, he's actually, in one way, to run a successful business, he's following the Muhammadiyya way. He's following the prophetic way through Ibn Khaldun. Little does he know, or maybe he does now if he's watching online, which I doubt, I don't know. But this is a non-Muslim following the Muhammadiyya way for managing and running a successful business. Now that's something materialistic. Nevertheless, it's progress, he's successful, we can't deny this. I'll give you another example. Has anyone heard of Ray Kroc? Ray Kroc. I wouldn't imagine anyone does because he's quite old. Do you know? Thank you very much, thank you, brother. He's actually the founder of McDonald's, Ronald McDonald, and you know, we all know how successful that business is. Now, Ray Kroc said something a long time ago, but it's stuck in my mind ever since. He said the secret to a successful business is this. He says, look after the customers and the business will look after itself. He says, look after the customers and the business will look after itself. Now let's just think about this for a second. Looking after the customers obviously means good customer service. It means fulfilling the consumer's rights. It means being nice to them, being pleasant to them, whether they're happy or sad or angry. Look after the customers. They will do the marketing for you. They will spread the word for you. They will give you repeat business, etc., etc., etc. But let's look at this at another level. Look after the customers, because they're the ones that are going to pay your bills. They're the ones that are going to generate profit. Just fulfill their rights. Treat them ethically. Treat them in a humane manner. Keep them happy. Now, not long ago, Hazrat Sahib, in fact, in this Dawi I specifically recall, Hazrat Sahib gave us a very valuable lesson. He said, if you want to become pious, if you want to attain piety, just do one thing. Fulfill people's rights. Treat them nicely. So Ray Kroc, without knowing it or not, he's actually, in one way, following the Muhammadiyya way. He's fulfilling the people's rights, the consumer's rights. He's treating them gently, nicely, looking after them. Now, I don't want to go into the ethics of McDonald's, that's a completely different story, but that's another non-Muslim. Willingly or unwillingly, in one way, following the Muhammadiyya way to run a successful business. So what can we learn? I mean, the fact that you're all here clearly signifies you want to advance. You want to be better than what you were yesterday. You want tomorrow to be better than today. How? Well, out of the 99 glorious names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of his names is Al-Hadi, the guide, the way. He's the guide, he's the way, but he guides who he wants to and he leads astray who he wants to. And how does he guide the ones who he loves? Through his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through his way. It's something to think about. The 99 names, now, I'm not saying you need to know the 99 names, but one of the names is the guide, the way. That's why I said the prophetic way, the Muhammadiyya way, is the best way. It's the only way, really. Anything else besides that, it's not even a way. I wouldn't consider it anyway. Now, why I say it's the best way and the only way? Because it's the straight path. Think back to the Quranic ayat I mentioned earlier. The straight path is the Muhammadiyya way. If you want to get from A to B safely, quickly, in one piece, follow the Sunnah. Follow the Muhammadiyya way. Because if you're driving down the road like we're driving just now, if you go to the left or to the right, either A, you'll take a wrong turn and you're lost. Physically and metaphorically, you're lost in life. Or B, you'll drive down the verge or hurt yourself or something bad will happen. But if you stick to the path, you cannot go astray. You stick to the path, you will not go astray, inshallah. Really. Now, there are other people out there that follow different ways. Muslims and non-Muslims alike, to be fair. But I'll give you an example. Has anyone heard of Dan Millman? Dan Millman, he's a very famous author. Dan Millman, he's actually, he wrote a very famous book called The Peaceful Warrior. He's actually now a life coach and these gurus, what they have. Dan Millman, he wrote an interesting book which I read, and it's actually quite a nice read, because he talks about when he wanted to enter the Olympics, he was a gymnast, and in the process he actually broke his leg during one of the tryouts, and he went through a phase where he had to deeply reflect. And to cut a long story short, he said, look, this is what happened to me, and on my road to recovery I realized one thing in life, one thing. To be successful, all you have to do is one thing. He said, whatever you're doing at that moment in time, just give that 100% of your focus. Give it all your concentration. So if I'm talking to you right now, I'm giving you 100% of my attention, 100% of my focus. If I'm eating, I'm focusing on the food, I'm focusing on eating. If I'm working, my mind is cut off from home, I'm focusing on my work. If I'm driving, I'm focusing on my driving. He said, in a nutshell, that's what the whole book's about. Now, let's think about this. He said that. What do you think the prayer is? What do you think the namaz is? Where's our mind when we pray namaz? Or where should it be, should I say? It shouldn't be on our family. It shouldn't be on what's going to be on TV tonight. It shouldn't be what am I going to do tomorrow. It should be on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's watching us. And we get reminded this every week. He's watching us, He's listening to us, He's with us. That is where the mind should be in the prayer. That was taught to us 1600 years ago, and Dan Millman realized this in the 1990s. So, see, these messages, they are similar, but to him, that's all he's got. And he's made millions and millions of this book, because that's his only message. We have an ocean of knowledge at our hands. We have an ocean of knowledge, endless knowledge through the Muhammadiyya way, through following the Sunnah. In fact, so much so, just now, half an hour ago, I walked into here and Brother Etisham gave me a very nice piece of advice. He told me how can I refine a certain Sunnah I'm already following. He gave me very nice advice of how I can refine a certain Sunnah. See, I thought I knew something. I thought I knew something about the Sunnah. Little did I know, he told me something very valuable. So we have an ocean of knowledge at our disposal. Why shouldn't we use it? We're asking for it 40 times a day or 42 times a day. You know, when I was adding this up, the 42 or the 40 number, I was thinking, okay, let's think about this. Some people only read the Faraid. Some people read the Nawafil as well. So I'm going to go down the middle and take just the Sunnat and the Faraid. But it's funny because some people come to me and go, brother, you know, you should be really proud of me. I go, why? He goes, I read Namaz 5 times a day. I'm a bunch fucking Namazi. And in one way, I want to tell him, brother, that should be standard. But, you know, alhamdulillah, the guy wasn't practicing, so I said, yeah, mashallah, you know, keep going, it's very nice to see you. But, you know, you see this everywhere, unfortunately. The fact that you read 5 times a day shouldn't really impress you. That should be the standard. So, you know, you should be doing these things anyway. So, now, Hazrat Sahib even mentioned a book, a famous book by Michael Hart called 100 Most Influential People in History. Hands up if you've actually read this book, because it's free on if you Google. You can get the PDF. I probably shouldn't have said that, but you can download it for free if you want to read it. Anyway, he looked throughout their history and looked at all the big characters, from Aristotle to Jesus, from Plato to George Washington. Now, Hazrat Sahib's already told you, if you are listening or if you watch the video online, at the top of his list, at number 1, who did he have? Take a guess. Our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is a non-Muslim testifying this. And we know the greatest testimony is that of our enemies. And even the non-Muslims can admit our Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he is at the top. Throughout all of history, from Buddha to all the great popes as well, who's at the top? Who's above Jesus in his understanding? And it's I looked at the arguments and he's perfectly right, to be honest. He's perfectly right. You see, Aristotle, the Greek scholar, he said there's 3 things you need to be influential. Because this book is called The 100 Most Influential People. He said there's 3 things you need to be influential. Now, these three things have actually been adopted by the big CEOs of all these big corporations because they want to influence the consumer. These are the three things. It's ethos, this is the Greek word, ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos, pathos, logos. Now in English what that means is, ethos is ethical. You have to be ethical in your argument. In what you're trying to convey the message, it has to be ethical. Now, who was more ethical than our beloved Master Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? When it came to business, he was the most ethical. When it came to dealing with individuals, he was the most ethical. When it came to animal rights, he was ethical. He introduced animal rights. When it came to giving rights to women, he was ethical. He is the most ethical person that ever walked on the face of the earth. Ethos, ethical. Number two, logos. It has to be logical. The message you're trying to convey has to be logical. What's more logical about saying to people there is one God that should be worshipped? What's more logical than that? What's more logical than to say you should thank the same creator that made you, that gave you provision, that gave you shelter, that gave you life, family, wealth, etc., etc., etc. What is more logical than to say that yes, you know what, I should worship him, that suits his majesty? Isn't that logical? Of course it is. So you've got ethos, logos, ethical and logical. The last one, pathos. Pathos in English is passion. You have to be passionate. You have to believe in what you're saying. You have to believe in the way you live. Who is more passionate about praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who had more passion? And it was evident in the way he spoke to people, in the way he treated people. He was more passionate than anyone. Then after that, obviously, he passed that passion on to the Sahaba. They passed it on to the next generation, and so forth, and so forth. And then you wonder why, in this book, 100 Most Influential People, why is he number one? He had it all. He was the personification of perfection. He was perfection personified. You will never find perfection like you will find in him. Of all the human beings that were ever born, of all the stars, of all the planets, of all the animals and out there, everything else, put them all together, we are nothing compared to him. We are a drop in the ocean. Now the fact that perfection has been personified in the form of a man, that gives us hope. That gives us something to look forward to and someone we can emulate. Because that's where success really lies, in emulating his way. Emulating him inwardly and outwardly is where success lies. And all the great awliya knew this. They've written it in their books. Really, look at all the great masters of the science of self-purification. They say in black and white, success lies in emulating the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what does the emulator do? He follows his way. As much as possible. He follows his way. The straight path. Again, going back to the Quranic verse. Sun Tzu, the famous author of The Art of War. Now, all the great military leaders of the past and even now, they still refer to his book because in that book, he talks about how to defeat the enemy in X, Y, and Z circumstances and situations. Now, not even military leaders, now businessmen use his book to run a successful business, what they call competitive capitalism, so much so that they want to drive the other businessmen out. They want to just completely finish them. They're so greedy, they turn to warfare tactics in business. Now Sun Tzu said, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. I say that again. Sun Tzu said, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. What do you think Fatah Makkah was? What do you think the conquest of Makkah was? Makkah was conquered by our beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam without a single drop of blood being spilled. He'd already mastered the supreme art of war. Yet Sun Tzu is saying that in his book, which is perfectly valid, nothing wrong with it. But remember what I said about the personification of perfection? He's perfected the art of war. He perfected the art of living. He perfected the art of being a father, being a husband, being a friend, being a member of society. All those things he had perfected. We don't need to turn to Aristotle. We don't need to turn to Confucius, Lao Tzu, any of the greats of the past. Yes, they had hikmah, we cannot deny this. However, we have a one-stop shop. Now, I don't like using that analogy, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. We only have to go to him. Follow his way, I guarantee you'll get success. If you want to be successful in the dunya alone, you'll get success following his way, as long as your intentions are correct. If you want to be successful in the akhirah as well, follow his way. It's that simple. That's the straight path. That's the Muhammadiyya way. Now we know what the way is. We know even a bit why we should follow the way. And I did say earlier on, a path is something that lets you progress. It lets you move forward, whether it's dunya or akhirah. It lets you advance. You see, I've said this time and time again, where as Muslims, we're not people who are content with what we have. Don't be content with what you have now. Don't be content with your spiritual status. Now, mashallah, I think all you brothers here, you're in my eyes, you're my seniors, really. I'm not saying that out of any false humility. I'm being very serious because, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your maqam, He knows all our maqams. But don't be content with where you are now. Ask yourself, where can you go next? What can you progress to next? How do you get there? Well, we know how, the Muhammadiyya way. So don't be content with what you have. Aim for what you can have tomorrow. Aim for that. Don't think, yes, okay, if I know Tajweed, I know my Aqidah, I know all the Faradain, okay. Why settle for that? Why stop there? Why not go further? You have the ability to do it. In this country, alhamdulillah, we have so much ni'mah, we have the resources to advance that other people don't have around the world, unfortunately. You only have to look at people in Burma, what's going on around there. They don't have the opportunities that we have. What excuses have we got not to advance spiritually? Really, we've got the technology, we've got the cameras, we've got YouTube, Facebook, we've got the resources, and most importantly, we have a rightly guided scholar. You have that. Now, I spent over 30 years of my life, I never found a rightly guided scholar until I came to the Zawiyah. This is a true story. Ask Imam Kers, I don't know if he's here today, ask him, what was I like when I came to the Zawiyah? And even that really was by accident. I stumbled across it by accident. Ask him. Until he showed me the Muhammadiyya way, the Tariqah Muhammadiyya, only then did things start to make sense. I started to advance as a human. Not just as a Muslim, but as a human, I became a better human being. First of all, I was more punctual at work. I was a better neighbour. I became, I think, a better family man to an extent. It's easy for me to say, but you can ask my family members. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, the moment you start to follow the way becomes easy for you. Even Maulana Rumi Rahimullah, he said, as you start to walk the way appears. The moment you start to walk the way will appear. You just take that first step. If you've taken the first step, take another step. If you've taken 3-4 steps, take 3-4 more. Keep going along the way. And inshallah, you will get to the destination, the final destination. And we all know where that destination is. You see, there was a famous American businessman, and the name's gone out of my head. He was an entrepreneur, he was a multi-billionaire, and he had it all. He was young, he was handsome, he had money, he had everything going for him. But he thought he was on the right way. And the way he was following was that of Nicholas Machiavelli. You may have heard of him, Machiavelli. He wrote a famous book called The Prince. And to him, that book was like a holy book. Like we have the Holy Quran, The Prince was his book. That was his everything. And he followed that book down to a T. He applied the teachings of that book in business. Now, he was ruthless at the time. He would drive his competitors completely out of business. He would destroy people's lives. Businesses that people relied to generate an income, he would completely destroy them. He thought he was on the right way, until one day he was struck down by a very severe disease, and he was told he's only got so much time to live. At that point, he stopped reading that book. He thought, you know what, I thought I was in the right way. I had it all. I had money, I had name of fame, I was handsome, I had women, cars, houses, etc. But look what's happened to me. I'm about to die. This can't be the right way. That can't be the right way. The Machiavellian way of the prince cannot be the right way. We're living in a time of confusion. We're living in a time of chaos, anarchy, and this confusion amongst humans, not just Muslims, but non-Muslims. So, there's another example. There's it's actually a joke really, but it's a good example nevertheless. There's a brother who converted to Islam, convert, revert, depends how you look at it. And he says to his people, he said, look, alhamdulillah, we're all Muslims. However, all the Muslims that live on the western part of the country, they're all going to go to hell. Only the people, the Muslims living on the eastern side, we're going to go to Jannah. So then he says to the people, you know what, to be more specific, everyone who living in my city, all the Muslims in my town, we're the Jannati, the rest of you, you're Jahannami. And he goes, but you know what, really, even in my city, only the people in my masjid, we're going to go to heaven, the rest of you, you're going to hell. And my masjid is called Masjid al-Sabr. And then he says, even in my mosque, there's only 2 people going to heaven, me and the Imam Sahib. Then he goes, you know what, brother, I'll be honest, I'm worried about the Imam. Message being that, there are people, unfortunately, that have a distorted understanding of Islam, even our own people, unfortunately. This is like a joke, but I say a joke that, however, about 10 years ago when I was in uni, I remember I was outside Manchester University and there's a brother there handing out Islamic leaflets and booklets. And then I saw there's an Englishman, a white person comes along, I would imagine he's non-Muslim, and he goes, oh, excuse me, can I see what this is? And the brother snatched it off him, he goes, no, kuffar, this is for Muslims only. I'm thinking, brother, what kind of dawah is this? So, we laugh about it, but really, it's quite sad, really. So we are living in a time of confusion. Now, the prophetic teachings, the Muhammadiyya way, has already stood the test of time. We can look how many centuries and centuries it's been going, and it's still here, alhamdulillah. It's the only way that will stand the test of time. That's a fact as well. That's been proven throughout history. No one can deny this. You see, even Aristotle, he said something very famous. He said, all men wish to know. All men wish to know. Now what he's referring to is the truth. The truth. All men wish to know. Even he acknowledged this. So our job in this country, with all the blessings that we have, is to practice the way, implement it, because I'll tell you now, it's not enough to know the prophetic way. It's not enough to know something. You have to apply what you know. You have to apply it as much as you can, inwardly and outwardly. Apply the way. But we have to go out there. We have to display what is the prophetic way. What's the correct way of applying this tariqah, of this way forward. Now, I'll give you 2 last examples before I finish. Sorry, how long do I have? Okay. There's it's a true story. In Liverpool, there was a woman, a non-Muslim. She was diagnosed with severe depression, and the GP was a Muslim. Surprise, surprise. He was an Asian guy. No surprise there. Anyway, so they tried to give her so many different medication, and it wasn't working. Okay, and so she got to the point where she was about to give up. So the GP, he took her to the side, said, off the record, can I give you one piece of advice? We've tried X, Y, and Z, they're not working, okay. Now, if you try this, I'm going to tell you, just as a human being, not as a doctor, go away and recite one word. Recite this one word. And you recite it every day, whenever you remember to recite the one word. And come back to me in a week. And tell me how you feel. The word was Allah. That's all she had to do, was recite the one word again and again. She went away, did this, came back in a week. And subhanAllah, she was cured. She wasn't depressed. She was actually cured from one word. She said to the doctor, look, you told me about this one word. What does it mean? What is this? What's this, Allah? What's this? So he told her in the end what it meant. Now, what happened then is something to really think about, because she thought, if one word from the Holy Quran can cure my depression, what can the entire book do for my life? If one word cure her depression, what can the entire book do for her life? And consequently, she did the Shahada and accepted Islam. This is a true story in Liverpool. I'll give you one last example from the Prophet ﷺ's time. Now, this hadith you probably already know. It's about the old woman who was a non-Muslim at the time, and she was on a journey, but she had a lot of luggage with her, and she needed someone to help her with the luggage. There's a very famous naat on YouTube about this, actually. And at the time, our Nabi ﷺ was there, and he offered to help. because he was generous. He was generous to his enemies as much as he was to his friends. And so they're on this journey, and she said, look, can you please help me? So he did. And along the journey, she kept complaining about him. Not knowing who this person was, she was complaining and saying these bad things, that he's misguiding the people, etc. Now, if that was me or you, or someone's bad-mouthing us, we're going to defend ourselves, aren't we? We're going to say, who are you to talk to me like that? Or, do you know who I am? You're talking about me. You know, maybe it's not the best time. But him being so merciful and compassionate towards all of creation, he just remained silent until the end of the journey. And even then, he stayed quiet until he was asked. Because after all the complaints, after all the problems she was dishing out, she then asked him, who are you? Not knowing, she spent that entire journey complaining about him. She goes, just please tell me your name. Then he said, I am Muhammad. That's all he said. What did she do? Shahada. She thought, all this time I've been talking bad about him, complaining about him, saying how nasty these things I've heard about him. And she saw, you know what? That's nonsense. She knew he was the right one. She knew his way was the right way. Because think about it on another level. They just went on a journey. They went on a way. She was walking parallel to him on his way, on the physical way, on the route from A to B. She's already walked the physical way. Now she wants to walk the spiritual way. She wants to walk the spiritual way. She's done the physical journey with him, or a physical journey. She wants to walk the spiritual journey with him. Now, how can we follow the Muhammadiyya way? What's the easiest way? Yes, you know, if you follow the Sunnah, that's very good, but the easiest way. Places like this, the Zawiyah, for me, it's been the easiest way, I'll be honest. Because prior to coming to the Zawiyah, I was on and off. I didn't know what was right, what was authentic. You know, you hear so many hadiths, sometimes you don't know if they're authentic or not. I had one hadith which the brother said, he goes, once upon a time there was a Sahaba, and someone brought over a plate of laddu. I said, brother, don't even pass that off as a weak hadith. So, what's the easiest way? Well, first of all, can I just have a raise of hands? Who's got this as guidebook? So, raise the hands, please. Okay. This book, now, if you can purchase this book, I highly recommend you do so, because in this book you have so many excellent supplications. Those words in this book that are the exact same words that our Master ﷺ used to recite. The same words. Now that in itself is a blessing. To be able to recite the same words he said 1600 years ago is a blessing in itself. It's funny because, I say funny, driving today, you have very heavy winds across the country, and my car was shaking on the motorway when I was leaving work, and then Paigo Farm messaged me, there's some dua to read about what to recite when heavy winds. Message being, there's a supplication for everything. And I was actually quite scared because I was on the motorway and the car shaking in the wind, and the phone was on display. So I quickly was at the traffic light, I stopped, checked the dua, read it. Even before I finished the supplication, the wind stopped. No joke, the wind stopped. My car stopped shaking. All the way home, calm winds or no wind whatsoever. That's an example just, 2 hours ago, if that. This book is full of supplications. If you've got problems at home, if you've got problems with yourself, controlling your anger, or any problem really, turn to the book, it's in there. It's only a few pounds, if I'm correct. This book is fantastic. Honestly, I cannot value this book enough. Hands up if you've either completed or are currently on the course of self-purification. Hands up, please. Right, okay. Thank you. This is a free course that we hold in the Zawiyah. If you want to follow the Muhammadiyya way, I highly recommend you do this course, or at least inquire about it, because this course is unique, because it's the only way that I've known of how to regularly follow the Sunnah, of how to regularly follow the Muhammadiyya way, of how to regularly follow the straight path and stay on the path. Because the way it's structured, the way it's set out is, for 30 days, you're mastering one organ. Now, I apologize for the people that have done the course. You know this already. You know it better than me, actually. You master one organ, and there's 7 organs to master. So you have rules for the one organ. And if If you break one of the rules in the 30-day period, you start again and you do 30 days constantly. But if you look at the hikmah, look at the wisdom behind this course, you see, you probably heard the expression, practice makes perfect. You probably heard this, yeah? Well, that's nonsense. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanence. The more you practice refining the tongue, the more you practice refining the eyes, the ears, the more you practice it, it becomes permanent. Because we'll never be perfect. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. We'll never be perfect. But if you go on this course, you will learn how to make these sunnahs permanent. Practice makes permanent. It doesn't make perfect. We are Bani Adam. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to trip and fall from time to time. That's a fact as well. So if you haven't already looked into this course, please, we have brothers here that are more than willing to give you advice. It's a completely free course, and I guarantee you, go on this course, you'll see changes in front of your very own eyes. You'll see progress being made in front of your very own eyes. You'll see things happening that you never thought would happen for you. See, what it comes down to at the end of the day, there's two things guaranteed in life, as they say in this country. There's the famous expression, death and taxes. Now, I've said this before, death and taxes, two things are guaranteed. Death and taxes, because the taxman will always get you. I don't care how big a fraudster you are, the taxman will get his taxes from you. Well, I'm already paying my taxes. What's next? So, this life is so short that it can be over in the blink of an eye. There's a famous narration that in the afterlife, people will be asked, how long was this life on earth? And they will say, Yom ba'da yom, a day or part of a day. That's all it is. This short life we have is like a day. You have to ask yourself, in what way will you spend your day? Because Salahuddin Ayyubi, rahimahullah, he had his day. Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, he had his day. All the Sahaba had their day. How will you spend your day? You have to really ask yourself, how will you spend your day? What way will you follow? And if it's not following the Muhammadiyya way, you have to really reflect and ask yourself, what's going on? If I've said anything that's benefited you today, then all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only the mistakes have been mine. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
Jazakallah khair to Ustaz Sufyan for the beneficial reminder of Ihdina as-Sirat al-Mustaqim. As you are aware, in this centre, as well as other centres in the northwest of England, a free course of self-purification is taught, known as Tariqa Muhammadiyya. To find out more of how one can free themselves from the shackle of shaitan and nafs, please approach myself. I will point you in the right direction of the brother who will be leading the halaqah, inshallah. As you are aware, our teacher are constantly on the move for dawah purposes. Currently, they are on a dawah tour to Europe. For the latest information, please keep yourself posted on the Sheikh Ahmed Dabbagh page. Please like and share this. Please like and share the post on Facebook. If one cannot physically travel, if one cannot give money to travel, we all have phones on us. We are all on the internet. We are all on Facebook. This is what's known as one-click dawah. We can like, we can share, we can invite other people via Facebook. Finally, if you like tips and advice at your fingertips, there's a public WhatsApp group open called Ibriz. For anyone who have questions relating to fiqh, aqeedah, the path to the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, and many more topics, please, or if you just want a general reminder, please give your names and number to Brother Shabir Hassan so you can be added to this group. Now we will commence with the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and if you want to stand to let blood rush to your feet, you may do so. During the zikr or remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal, please follow the brother and try not to go ahead. This is a loud zikr, so please express yourself in a nice loud manner. You may be seated, inshallah. I call the brother who's going to be doing the zikr, inshallah. You may be seated, inshallah.
As our brothers who normally lead the zikr are not here for some reason, inshallah, today we'll be playing a recording, inshallah, so it will be the same etiquettes, staying as a loud zikr along with the teacher, inshallah, and then staying in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, also sending durood upon the beloved Messenger Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as though you can connect with them, think of them as much as you can, inshallah. Jazakallah.
नियत करेंगे हमारी जो तिलावत ज़िक्र इसका सवाब हदियत सैयदना इमाम हुसैन रज़ी अल्लाहु अन्हु व कर्रमल वजह और उनके जो साथी और सहाब शुहदाए करबला की बारगाह में पेश करेंगे ताकि हमें भी अल्लाह पाक हम पर भी रहम फरमाए। बिस्मिल्लाह बिस्मिल्लाह अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर रहीम मालिकि यौमिद्दीन इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तa'ीन इहदिनस सिरातल मुस्तक़ीम सिरातल लज़ीना अन'अमता अलैहिम गैरिल मग़्दूबि अलैहिम वलद्दॉल्लीन। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम क़ुल हुवल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहुस समद लम यलिद वलम यूलद वलम yakun lahu kufuwan ahad। inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima। مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير خلق كلهم على حبيبك خير الخلق الكل محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم حبيبك خير لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا Allah
وأنت خير الراحمين
رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين رب اغفر وارحم سبحان الله عدد ما خلق سبحان الله ملء ما خلق الحمد لله عدد ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الحمد لله ملء ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الله أكبر عدد ما أحصى كتابه الله أكبر ملء ما أحصى كتابه سبحان الله عدد كل شيء سبحان الله ملء كل شيء يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو हय्युल क़य्यूम व अतूबु इलैहि अस्तग़फिरुल्लाह الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الحمد لله بنعمته تتم الصالحات اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه صلاة تفتح لنا باب الرضا والتيسير والعلم والشفاء وتغلق بها عنا باب الشر والتعسير والجهل والأمراض والذنوب وتكون لنا بها وليا ونصيرا وهاديا وشافعا يا نعم المولى ويا نعم النصير اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم تب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين يا مالك يوم الدين يا كرم لك من हमारी ये मजलिस इसाले सवाब सैयदना इमाम हुसैन रज़ियल्लाहु तआला अन्हु व शुहदाए करबला की निस्बत से कबूल फरमा। इसमें जो भी नेकी का काम ज़िक्र तिलावत कुरान तस्बीहात दुरूद शरीफ ज़िक्र अज़कार बिलदौरात किया गया अपनी बारगाह में कबूल फरमा। हदियतन तोहफ़तन हुज़ूर अलैहिस्सलाम साहिबुल उलाग अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम की पाक बारगाह में पेश फरमा। आपके तौफ़ील तमाम अंबिया रसूल मलाइका अलैहिस्सलाम अहले बैत किराम सहाबाए किराम सैयदना इमाम हुसैन सैयदना रिज़वानुल्लाह अलैहिम अजमाइन और भी जितने शुहदाए करबला या वहाँ थे जिन्होंने उनका साथ दिया, साथ शहीद हुए या नुसरत की, उन सबको हमारा सलाम भी और इसका सवाब भी अता फरमा। क़यामत के दिन हमें ऐसी हस्तियों की शफ़ाअत नसीब फरमा, दुनिया में उनके मिशन और उनके पैगाम को आगे लेकर चलने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा। जो लोग यहाँ आए हैं या रब्बल आलमीन सबको अपनी रज़ा अपना क़ुर्ब नसीब फरमा। जो हम गुनाहों में पड़े हैं, गफ़लत में पड़े हैं, हम हमें बेदारी हजूरी नसीब फरमा, इताअत व बंदगी नसीब फरमा, नबी अलैहिस्सलाम का सच्चा इश्क और मोहब्बत नसीब फरमा। जो बीमार आए हैं उनको शिफा नसीब फरमा, जो गुनाहों की बीमारी जिनको लगी है उनको या रब्बल आलमीन तक़वा अता फरमा, जिनको कोई जिस्मानी बीमारी उनको शिफा, जिनको कोई रूहानी बीमारी उनको भी शिफा, जो जादू टोने के मुर्तकिब हैं या मजलूम हैं उनकी मदद फरमा। बर्मा, कश्मीर, फ़लस्तीन, जहाँ मुसलमान मजलूम हैं इनकी मदद फरमा, नुसरत फरमा। दुनिया के काफिरों को ईमान नसीब फरमा, मुसलमानों को नेक अमाल सालिह अक़ीदत और तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा। हुक्मरानों को अच्छी हुक्मरानी, राया को अपने हक़ूक़ पूरे करने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा। हमें उन लोगों में से बना जो लोगों के लिए नफ़ा रसानी और नफ़ा बख्शने वाले और नफ़ा पहुँचाने वाले हैं, तेरी रज़ा के लिए या रब्बल आलमीन या अरहमर राहिमीन। हमारे बड़ों पर भी रहम फरमा, छोटों पर भी रहम फरमा। बड़ों का अदब, छोटों पर शफ़क़त करने की तौफ़ीक़, हमारे माओ बहनों को शर्म व हया इज़्ज़त वाली ज़िंदगियाँ अपने घरों में सुकून नसीब फरमा। लड़ाई झगड़े फितने फसाद और बुग़्ज़ व हसद से पाक फरमा। हमारे जो भी रिश्तेदार दोस्त अहबाब बीमार हैं उनको शिफा नसीब फरमा, शिफा नसीब फरमा। मौलाना क़री नज़ीर साहब पाकिस्तान में जमात अहले सुन्नत के अमीर वो बीमार हैं, या अरहमर राहिमीन उनको शिफा नसीब फरमा। अगर उनकी मौत आई उनको बेहतरीन ईमान और बेहतरीन हालत ihसान में उनकी ज़िंदगी और उनको रूह को रुख़सत फरमा और आखिरत में अंबिया सिद्दीक़ीन शुहदा सालिहीन के साथ जमा फरमा। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि व सल्लम व अला आलिहि व सहबिहि वसल्लम तस्लीमा। आमीन।